Welcome to Meme TV, the official channel for Made in the Midlands. My name is Ivona. I'm a group events manager at Made in the Midlands. On our next series of Meet Britain's Makers, we are joined by Mark Evans, the director of R&D Tax Claims. Welcome, Mark.
Thank you.
R&D Tax Claims has been a patron of Made in the Midlands since the birth of the company. Would you like to tell us more about the company, what it is about?
Well, R&D Tax Claims does what it says in the name. We help manufacturing companies on the whole get back corporation tax on their R&D activities, and R&D stands for research and development. Yes. So back in 2009, I realised that there were a lot of companies out there that weren't taking full advantage of the R&D tax relief scheme. A lot of high-tech companies were claiming it, but the sort of companies that could also claim it were manufacturing companies, whether they were pressing companies or involved in plastic moulding. All ranges of manufacturing companies were eligible, and I realised that companies didn't realise this. So that's when I set up R&D, initially an R&D company to claim back money. And since 2009, I've helped claim companies in the UK over £25 million in tax. And in terms of Made in the Midlands companies, I think we now kind of claimed for about over 30 companies and claimed back over 4 million just for Made in the Midlands members. Right. So on the whole, on average, we claim back about £35,000 of tax for a company per annum. And the reason what this tax represents is these companies, manufacturing companies, of which obviously Made in the Midlands members are a prime source of work for us. These companies are doing something new, innovative in their business, whether it's a new or improved product, or more often than not in manufacturing, a new and improved process. So they've not necessarily changed their product, but they've changed the way they make it. So it's more environmentally friendly, or it's more efficient. So they've done something, they've taken a risk, there's been uncertainty involved in what they're doing. It's not been clear cut. There's been an element of a risk, as I say, an uncertainty with what they're trying to do. And it's that uncertainty in the project that they're doing that leads to the R&D claim. So we look for companies that are taking risks, are doing something new that haven't been before. These are usually companies that, they're the only sort of company that do what they do, so they get customers because they're well renowned for doing this, or they do a lot of bespoke work, or they're in particular niche markets. So we found that obviously within Made in the Midlands, if a company's joined Made in the Midlands, the chances are there's a good 50-50 chance that they are doing R&D, and so being a patron of Made in the Midlands has led us to be to the door of these companies, and we've been able to help over 30 companies get back, on average, about 130,000 over that period of time. So it's we've done well out of it, and they've done well out of it as well. So it's a win-win situation.
It is indeed. That's amazing statistics, actually, and thank you for telling all us. So the experience for you since joining Made in the Midlands has been very successful. And the impact on the company, you've covered that as well, so which is brilliant. But in terms of doing business, because you eventually do business with people, and the value of the business comes out of it. So how does networking events have helped you with that? Well,
yes, I mean, what I found is we've joined a number of trade associations and chambers of commerce, but we've always found that the networking events and the events that Made in the Midlands put on, whether they're just networking events at a member's factory, or the expo, or the awards events, and even the summer and Christmas drinks, what you find there is that we're able to get in touch and meet the decision makers in these companies, which is very rare. Most networking events you don't get to meet these sort of people because they don't get out to network, but they seem to come to your events, and therefore we've been able to actually interact directly with these people and get work from it. And the other thing is the Made in the Midlands magazine. We've been involved in that from the start, and we always put a case study, hopefully with a Made in the Midlands member, that has led then on to people seeing us in there and calling us, and we've got work as a direct result of the articles that have appeared in the magazine. So, it's been a great way for us to get in front of the people that we need to get in front of, because a lot of what we do, we have to persuade people that they're doing R&D activities. In many occasions people think, God, it sounds too good to be true, or we found that a lot of manufacturing companies, especially in this area, are doing fantastic world-class stuff, but they don't realise it, or they just think as engineers that's just what they do. So you have to try and persuade them that that in fact what they're doing is R&D and it can be claimed. And once you've got over that barrier and explain it to them, they think, well, great, well, where do I sign and get the, start the work and get that money back for us. So we find that it's, once you've persuaded people, it's a fairly straightforward process if you know what you're doing. I've got a team of consultants who are all got a vast amount of manufacturing consultancy experience, and they've been with me from the start. So they're able to go into these companies, talk to the MDs about what they do, and quickly understand and establish where the R&D is. And that's the skill that we have, identifying within a company where the R&D is, write a report about what they've done, work out the costs of doing the R&D, and then I deal with the tax side and dealing with the revenue about getting the money back that they've overpaid in tax effectively.
Okay, brilliant. So that's the process
that's the process. Yeah.
So the breakfast mornings, we obviously do them every month, and does the factory tours help you with identifying those innovations and preparing for
Yes, definitely. Yes, it's only what part of our process is that if we ever get a lead or people want to see us, we always go to their factory to see what they do, because it's only by actually seeing the company at ground level and seeing exactly what they do that you can actually identify the R&D, because the client often thinks that something that they've done might be R&D, but it might not be. But if a tour of the factory can show up things that you perhaps wouldn't get if you just had a phone call or just had a meeting in the office. So we always like to go and have a look at what the company's doing. So the breakfast meetings at the various members' factories is a great way of seeing what they can do.
Okay. Yeah. Fantastic, right. So as the Made in the Midlands network grows within the sector, and with the recent Brexit vote, the uncertainty within the local economy has been felt a little. But what about your R&D initially? How do you feel about that, and has your business been impacted?
Right, not in the short term, and we've found that obviously we've got a lot of work at the moment that's ongoing. We tend to work retrospectively, so we're looking at companies that the past couple of years of what they've done. Going forward, I don't think it's going to make a huge difference. I think it's the current results look as if things are on track, not as bad as people suspected. The fall in the pound has helped, obviously, exports, and manufacturers have been helped by that. Obviously, imports are more expensive, but overall they're more competitive abroad. So personally, I don't think it's going to be that great, and we're going to have great opportunities to sell our materials, our finished goods to different countries that we haven't been able to as part of the EU. So I think overall, I think it will be a good thing down the line.
That's good. So what about since the Brexit vote? Have you had many tax claims within the member companies that joined? Has there been R&D activity after Brexit?
Well, like I say, we tend to work retrospectively, so it's probably unlikely at the moment that we've done any R&D work that covers the period since June 23rd. So that's not happened yet. But I still think that obviously companies will carry on to a certain extent. If there's uncertainty within the market, companies do tend to do more R&D. Well, when I first started this back in 2009, it was in the height of the recession, and a lot of companies at that time were doing more R&D because they were having to think of different ways of doing things to stay in business. As things got better, to a certain extent, the level of R&D went down because they were then fulfilling orders that they'd got as a result of the R&D a few years ago. So when things do tend to dip, you tend to find that there's more R&D and more interest in what we do. When things are going great and companies are busy, it's a bit more difficult for us to get in and do our work because the companies are fully busy. So sometimes when things aren't going quite so well for other companies, it's better for us because people then turn to us and say, can you help us out and get some money back for us that will help their cash flow? So
yes, definitely, absolutely, and then that's great. So you can actually predict the market to a certain extent.
Yeah. Yes, to a certain extent. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Well, thank you, Mark, for joining us today.
Pleasure.
And as the Made in the Midlands TV continues, Meet Britain's Makers. If you would like to join us on the channel, please contact our team on that number. And thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.